What's going on, everybody? This is a roaming prepper, and I'm bringing you your Saturday Sitrep like I try to do every Saturday. There's a lot of stuff going on all over the world, and it can be frustrating and also fear-mongery to read only certain things. There is a lot of instability, but not a reason to freak out. Instead, it's information to take in to make informed decisions. So I just want to start with that on this Sitrep. In any case, I'll be right back. Let me do my intro and we will go into what's going on in the world, because it's really interesting, and it's the kind of stuff that can help us make better decisions as we go forward. I'll be right back and we'll talk about it. Back, everyone, and this is the Roaming Prepper again. I'm your host, Pete, and thank you for joining me. So before I go any further, I do want to say don't forget to like and subscribe. I normally premiere the Saturday Sitrep if I'm not doing it live. If I don't make my own premiere and you have questions or comments, leave them in the comments below the video and I will try to answer and acknowledge them as soon as I can. Those of you who follow me regularly know that we've had changes at my work schedule. And so I'm basically making videos between tasks, to try and get work stuff done. Surely you guys all appreciate that. So with no further ado, let's get to it. So once again, this is a compilation of state, federal, State Department, the corporate side and other media that is publicly released. To my knowledge, none of these items are classified, top secret, or illegal, and it's not financial advice. Yes, I have to put a disclaimer now. Go figure. Anyway, although I don't know how like a riot in another country would be financial advice. But anyway, okay, so to start, now there's been a lot of instability, guys. We all know this. So let's start with Africa again, because I'm going to go alphabetically over the continents or regions. So Burkina Faso, I had mentioned in previous reports that they were having instability. Then they had a new president, and then that president got overthrown by another president. Anyway, the United States is about to remove that country from its trade pact because they're unstable and they've ruined their own elections. So the U.S. is going to walk away from that. Now, there was some talk about Russia having troops or mercenaries or Wagner Group in the country. It turns out that the Wagner Group, or not, whatever group it was, they were there as paid advisors by one of the entities. So it wasn't like Russia was doing something nefarious. It was a bunch of contractors getting paid to help somebody. Now, that country does have a lot of rare earth minerals, so that may be part of it, but we'll see. Anyway, purely a side note to the Burkina Faso thing. The Democratic Republic of Congo is accusing Uganda of supporting rebels that are giving it a hard time in their nation. Also, South Africa has reported that they have found 21 bodies of illegal miners. They were trying to mine precious metals illegally, kind of basically 21 dudes who all decided to make some money, and they're all dead now. So don't make holes in the ground if you don't know what the hell you're doing. In Gambia, it says it has not yet confirmed the cough syrup as a cause of death. Now, I've reported in the past that there was a company, I believe in India, who had made a horrendously bad batch of cough syrup that got distributed through India, Asia, and Africa, and it's resulting in dead kids, literally poisoning them. So Gambia has not yet to confirm the toxic cough syrup that was a cause of deaths of 70 children from acute kidney injury. So they're trying to figure out what happened there. So again, guys, pay attention to medical recalls. With all the supply chain and availability and political issues, you never know. You may wind up getting a product that's a substitute that may be substandard. So pay attention to recalls of food, pharmaceuticals, dietary supplements, stuff like that. That's important. See, there's an actionable item of intel that we can work with. Moving to East Asia Pacific. Hold on, I got my pages all screwed up in here. So East Asia Pacific. Australia reports cybercrime jump as criminal gangs target families and businesses. So what we're having now is gangs, basically the mafia, the mobsters, are using very sophisticated techniques to try to hack not just the government, but businesses, private people stuff. So again, actionable intel. Make sure you take appropriate measures, antivirus software, make sure you have a good password. Don't look up or download things that you're unfamiliar with, the usual routines. Actually, another report said that fraud has cost people over the age of 65, specifically older retirees, almost $1 billion last year because of scams, people calling and basically pressure selling into older folks on the phone or on their computer, and they think they're doing something legitimate and it's not. I'm not worried about my mother-in-law because she doesn't trust anybody. So people have called her and she goes, I don't know you, you're a scammer. And it actually was like a legit AT&T service guy, but she hung up on him anyway. So good for her. I'm okay. I'd rather she hang up and we explain a misunderstanding than she get her retirement money taken away from her because somebody scammed her. So we told her, don't trust anyone. And now even the poor Amazon delivery guy, she watches him through the window to make sure it's the right guy, which is not bad. It is not bad. I'm happy for her. But anyway, I digress. Kenya's president demands end to extrajudicial killings by police. Now they're having, you want to talk about defund the police, and a lot of people are angry about police overreach in this country. Those guys are straight up killing people in the streets. So definitely happy we're not having that happen in our country. But again, you want to be a third world, that's the kind of stuff you get. So again, Kenya's struggling as well. They are getting some support from France and Europe as far as retraining their law enforcement. So that's a good thing. Hopefully they can help them there. Sorry, I jumped back to Africa because I just saw that. That was really good. So Malaysia reports that their LGBTQ groups are dismissed because politicians stayed silent after the police raided a Halloween party. I don't know the details. I couldn't get a lot out of it. I guess it was, according to the article, and this was from SCMP, days after Malaysian religious officials raided a Halloween party organized by the LGBT community. Queer folks say the silence by political parties jockeying for support ahead of the November 19th election is telling about their place in society. So again, I'm thankful we're where we are in the Western world because folks can't even gather. Like it wasn't, apparently they weren't really doing anything wrong. They were just, having a gathering and they got busted. So, but again, lots of elections going on, not just the US. Malaysia is a huge economy, maybe not up in the tier of, the EU, US, China, but they're not a joke. So right now we have Malaysia's having elections. Brazil just had elections, and now they're rioting in the streets because they think it was illegitimate. So the incumbent was more conservative, I guess you will, Bolsonaro. He lost, and I'll get into that when we hit South America, but yeah, that's not bueno. So, concerning stuff regardless. So moving on, East Asia Pacific, as I mentioned, Australia, cybercrime. So we're going to roll into Europe. So Denmark, Danish train standstill on Saturday caused by a cyber attack. So I'm hearing through friends I have who work for some of the agencies that actually watch this stuff, as well as the military and some corporate contacts, there's been a slew of cyber attacks lately. I mean, a slew of them, and it's been an ongoing train wreck for everyone. I can't say much more from what they shared, and I don't want to say any more, but according to this, Denmark, reported by Reuters, if you want to look it up, a major breakdown in Denmark's train network during the weekend was the result of a hacker attack on an IT subcontractor software testing environment. So you notice what they're doing, and this is how they got into the DoD and how the Department of Energy back when Obama was in office, and then they did it again, they tried it again when Trump was in office, was they didn't go directly to the Department of Defense or the Pentagon or the White House. They don't do that. They'll go and hit subcontractor so-and-so who's authorized. They break into their shit, either physically get someone inside the company and screw with it, or they hack in, and then through that they find portals to get into something else. It wasn't Solyndra, I forgot the name of the subcontractor, but after they got hacked in 2014, which is Obama's second term, I believe, unless I'm wrong, they were able to subsequently get into DOD, DOE, and then a few other agencies. And then right after Trump got elected is when we started seeing the hacks of the pipeline. You remember that? Hacks of airports. So basically they started with companies, then they went to the military and federal subcontractors, then worked their way into the agencies, and then they started knocking things offline. So it's been systemic since like 2007. This has been going on if you look back. I do have another video on my channel about how those cyber attacks kind of stacked one over the other. But in any case, yeah, serious stuff over there. That's not good, because imagine being in a New York City subway in the tunnel and the lights go out and your train stops. All of them. All over the city, all at once. I don't know if there are enough first responders to deal with that kind of thing. So you can see how bad that could be. So as far as continuing in Europe, so Russia, Ukraine, Russia has likely deployed units meant to shoot its own retreating soldiers, according to UK intel. That's from Business Insider. Not a new thing for the Russians. Russia looks to be taking extreme measures to address the low morale in its army after a string of victories for Ukraine, which blows my mind because, you know, you're not going to improve morale by killing people. But anyway, this is something they did in Russia. Battle of Leningrad and Stalingrad. You can read up on that, or you can watch the movie Enemy at the Gates, because it's a theatrical representation, but they're not completely inaccurate in that respect. Also, President Zelensky is accusing Russia of energy terrorism. No surprise there. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of energy terrorism with Russian strikes on the energy network. And this is from the Seattle Times. Keep in mind, we're about to go into a very cold winter. I'm sure it'll be a cold winter. And the Russians didn't make the ground they wanted to. So they're going to put Ukraine in the dark and try again. I'm pretty sure Russia did not get into this intending to lose. So it's going to be tough. Also, they report that because of the war and then other geopolitics, and again, Reuters reporting multiple cyber attacks, damaging EU cybersecurity agency ENISA said in its annual report on Tuesday that the invasion of Ukraine has led to more damaging and widespread cybersecurity issues. At the same time, Bentley doesn't agree with that. United Kingdom, Reuters again, hundreds of UK airport workers to strike in the run-up to the World Cup. Not only that, there are reports of trucker and railroad strikes both in Europe and in North America. So that's going to be interesting. I don't know when those strikes are supposed to fall, so I'm going to try and look into that a little more. But that's something, again, that's actionable intelligence, right? You're aware of cybersecurity issues, so you need to upgrade your passwords, make sure you have virus software, etc. But also, if you know there's going to be a disruption, you need to make sure that you have what you need to get through at least a couple of weeks. You don't have to have 6 months if you can't afford it, but have a couple of weeks while, you know, the government types figure out what the hell has happened. You can at least eat and stay warm. Okay, so moving on. Middle East, North Africa. Bentley's about to go to the kennel. Hey, you guys, shh, nobody likes you. And he doesn't care. He's sitting there barking at his sister. Pepper, come over here. Come here, sit. He sees you and he wants out. And she's just going to beat him up. She's been angry at him today. I don't know why, the corgis, but the girls have been chasing the puppy around. Every time I let him loose, they go and beat him up. So he did something wrong. In any case, where was I? Middle East, North Africa. There we go. So, excuse me. I lost my place here. Okay, Iran, Russia, Ukraine. Iran is preparing to send additional weapons, including ballistic missiles, to Russia, according to CNN and MSN. This is also a public release from the State Department. Iran is preparing to send approximately 1,000 additional weapons, including surface-to-surface, short-range ballistic missiles, and more attack drones. Those ballistic missiles are similar to what Hamas has been using to harass Israel, but probably a bigger, more substantial scale. It also, and this concerns me, Iran providing these weapons to Russia gives Iran a great opportunity to see how its weapons perform in actual combat, with the intent of making upgrades as they go. So if the Russians say, hey, these things the targeting is off, or the payload is not sufficient, or they don't launch right, Iran's going to improve. I do believe Iran would be the third hotspot to watch for. Not just China, Taiwan, not just Russia and Ukraine, but also Israel. Israel, Saudi, and Iran. So it'll be interesting to watch all that and how it plays out. And Lebanon. Okay, Reuters. Lebanon entered an unprecedented government crisis. They have no president, and they have a caretaker cabinet with limited parliamentary powers. So they literally have no leader. They have no president, they have no prime minister, they have no director of the parliament, they have nothing. So that would be akin to us not having a vice president, a secretary of state, not a speaker of the House, and no Senate, president pro temp of the Senate. And now it's like the Joint Chiefs and like a congressional committee trying to run everything, which would be an absolute shit show because that's not what they're supposed to be doing. So although we do, and I'm sure somebody will point it out the minute I say that, but we do have a chain of leadership going down from the, like, at the bottom, I think it's the the Secretary of Urban Development, all the way to the president. So as people drop out, you have continuity of leadership. In any case, interesting. Okay, so moving on. South Central Asia. Afghanistan, drug prices rise after Afghanistan after Taliban outlaws trade. They're banning all sorts of illegal drugs. I guess we would consider them illegal, including methamphetamines, which is ironic because Afghanistan has massive poppy fields where they export heroin, which is how the Taliban make a lot of money in the black market. So I don't know how that works. Also, Russia is recruiting Afghan commandos. These commandos were trained by the U.S. to fight in the Ukraine. So let me rephrase that. And this is from the Los Angeles Times. So basically, the Afghani commandos that the United States and its allies have trained to fight the Taliban, who are now part of the Taliban government, are being contracted out by the Russians to be mercs to go over there and fight with the Ukrainians and against whoever the hell else is helping the Ukrainians with the training and weapons we gave them or left behind. I don't know what to say to that. That just pisses me off thinking about it. Anyway, we're going to move on from that before I say bad words. Okay. And Pakistan approves deal to import 300,000 tons of Russian wheat. So again, this goes back to the market, right, guys? There's the available public legal market. We took Russia's stuff out, right, because we're punishing them. The West is boycotting them, whatever. So the available market of the product is smaller, right? You have less product, but what's available, hold on a second here. Sorry, having technical difficulties. So the market is smaller, the supply is smaller, but the demand is still there, right? Hence the price goes up, supply-demand curve. So, however, the Russian wheat did not go away. It's there somewhere. It's out there in limbo. So Russia's making complete separate side deals in its own baby black market for oil, gas, fuels, etc. And the only people who are really hurting are the Europeans and the people in the third world countries who now can't get food. Although it seems like Pakistan has figured something out. So remember, Pakistan also had some epic flooding that ruined a lot of its crops. So that's actually a good thing that those folks are not going into a complete state of desperation. Now, we're going to wrap this one up with the Western Hemisphere. And I just flipped to the wrong page on that report. Sorry, gang. There we go. All right. So, pro-Bolsonaro roadblocks lose steam in Brazil. So Lula is the president who is taking over. He's an ex-con who got voted in. He is a socialist, or leans very socialist. He defeated Bolsonaro. So the Bolsonaro people were making roadblocks. So the supporters of Lula, the socialists, were actually driving cars into the people. It would be akin to, and it happened a few times, both with the Antifa, BLM, as well as the neo-Nazis, that they'd run into each other with cars. So this is not anything new, but Brazil is a very large economy. And what's going to happen is if they screw up their economy with a sudden shift into socialism, you're going to have a lot of people retreating from that country, fleeing the country, going into Colombia, into Argentina, into Peru, and they're going to cause a whole nother set of problems. So that's going to cause a lot of issues. Haiti, Haiti got clobbered by hurricanes lately. Security forces in Haiti have said they've taken control of a major fuel depot held by criminal gangs. The fact that, and this is reported by BBC, the fact that the government has lost control of major fuel depots in their own country tells me they're in trouble. They're having a major issue in that nation. And then Mexico, expert group warns of crisis in Mexico, missing students case. A group of international experts investigating the very old 2014 disappearance of 43 students in Mexico warned Monday that an attempt by government to accelerate the results has created a crisis. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. That's kind of weird, but definitely don't travel off the beaten path if you don't know where you're going. The times I've gone overseas to certain countries, I was working with local guys on the ground. I was there to help them, and they knew that. If you're going to go to a dangerous place and be disruptive, there's always a risk you're going to get snatched up and they may not find you again. It won't even be like, oh, they found you in a ditch. They won't find you. You'll go away. So be careful with your overseas trips. That kind of wraps up the Sitrep. So let me give you some recap, actionable intel. So first of all, the cyber attacks that were reported in various reports, and this is 2 reports, one on Tuesday and one popped out on late Thursday. Make sure your computers are up to speed, they have the right software, don't go to stupid websites, don't download gross things or weird things that you're not familiar with, don't click on links, and if you're not sure if it looks legitimate but it seems strange, hover your arrow on your computer mouse over the reply email, over the link, and it often expands and shows you what the route that link is going to take you to, and you'll often see on these suspicious emails that that's an excellent route to go to some kind of dark site and they steal all your shit, so don't do that. 2, airline strikes along with possible railroad and truck strikes that are starting to manifest themselves everywhere. Again, more supply chain delays. We should already be preparing for that as best you can. Making sure you have food preserved. If you can't find Mylar, not a big deal. Use mason jars. If you can't find mason jars, hell, put them in those bougie Tupperware things that you can push the air out and go tss, and it takes the air out. Whatever you can do. Even if you can't help. That big jar right here is actually rice. So I get a 25-pound bag of rice. About 15 pounds fits in here. The other 10 pound goes into Mylar. You can do stuff like that. Preserve however you best can. Same for flour. You can freeze bread. That's some old school stuff there. Or make your own bread at home. So you have a lot of options with what you can do going forward. And, make sure you have the right foods for what you're doing. Last but not least, if you are traveling internationally, make sure, or if you're traveling, because we're getting into the holiday season, you're traveling internationally or even across the country, make sure, 1, somebody you trust knows where the hell you are, okay? Make sure if you have a dog sitter, a house sitter, or a friend watching over your property that they take any packages or materials into your house so your house isn't appearing completely empty and you don't have packages sitting in front. Keep in mind, if I see a package in front of somebody's house for 4 days, I'm going to assume nobody's in that house. So not only A, can I steal your package, but B, I might be tempted to break into the house because it seems like nobody's there. So avoid that perception. Have somebody pick up the mail, even if they just dump all the shit in the kitchen. Figure it out when you get home. If you're traveling overseas, make sure you have your passport, obviously. Make sure a photocopy of your passport is somewhere hidden in your luggage. You fold it up in your shoes, whatever. If your passport gets stolen, you can still go to the embassy with the photocopy and they can at least look you up and start getting the process of getting you back home. I'd also talk to anyone you know locally. Usually when I've gone overseas, I have company affiliates or business partners waiting for me. So I always call them ahead. You know, where's the nearest hospital? How's this hotel? Where should I not go? Where can I get a decent meal without getting mugged? Stuff like that. Information on the ground that's not coming from Google or Yelp or whatever can be invaluable. Also, if you're gonna go overseas, don't forget, I would recommend exchange your currency here in the States, or if you're going from Canada or Europe, wherever the hell you're going, exchange it at home. And what you do, at least here in the States, the process is you go to your bank, you tell them, I'd like to take, say, $300 US, I'd like to convert it to Argentinian pesos. So they go, okay, you fill out a form, you authorize $300 to be taken out, they will convert that into whatever many, 500, 800 pesos. And then they'll call you and say, hey, your pesos are ready, and you go back and you get a little envelope. If you do this about 2 weeks before your trip, you'll have them definitely. Usually it only takes 3 or 4 days, depending on whether you're in a major city or in a smaller town. But I give yourself a couple of weeks or even more. If you know you're definitely going to Mexico, don't exchange in the airport. 1, you don't want to show American dollars, and 2, you don't want to get raped by the high interest rate you're going to get hit with at the tourist traps. Do that ahead of time. Guys, that's all I got for today. I hope some of this intel was useful, and I hope the actionable items are useful to you. Okay, I'm gonna, as we get into the holidays, as I wrap up my year on the Roaming Prepper channel, I'm gonna continue to hit you guys with travel advice and recommendations just to keep it in the forefront of your mind, because I gotta keep it in the forefront of mine, because I will be going on a very long flight somewhere, at least at some point in the next few months, not including business travel. So anyway, you guys be good, be safe, God bless, and I will see you on the next video. And don't forget, we will have an all platform prepper panel. All platform, anyway, you got what I'm saying. All prepper platform channel, something like that. Anyway, we will have preppers from Instagram, preppers from TikTok, preppers from YouTube, all on one big panel. And basically, I'll do what I normally do. I'll ask the questions, give the floor to my guests, and let them run the show. Also, December 1st, unless something happens, I will be doing my very late 2,000 sub giveaway, which should have been my 1,000 sub giveaway, but I was on the other side of the continent when I hit 1,000 subs, so I didn't realize it till I got back weeks later. In any case, this is why I'm sometimes delayed in celebrating things, because I have no idea it happened. I will be doing a giveaway that will be for subscribers only, so I'll set it for like a week or 2. So yeah, if you're not a sub, you get to watch everyone else win shit. And I actually got companies to sponsor a couple of the gifts, so that was pretty cool. They stepped up, which I thought was awesome. In any case, guys, I will see you on the next video. You guys take care, be safe, and I will talk to you next week. Take care.